What's up, guys? This is Tyler from Live in the Lab, and we're sitting here with my boy Daniel Diaz, aka DJ Skew. How you doing today, man?
What's good? What's good? No, doing good. Doing good. Can't complain. Cannot complain. How are you? How are you?
I'm doing all right. Just been doing this, doing studio sessions. What's been going on with you?
Um, Not much. I mean, just steady working as much as I can. Right now I work at Audible Studios, and for my engineering stuff.
Flex the hoodie.
Flex the hoodie.
Flex the hoodie.
Yes, sir.
Shout out to Audible.
Yeah, shout out to my boy Random over there, Audible owner of Audible Studios. He hooked it up. He hooked everybody up that works there actually with just like custom merch with like our names in the back. Mine says skew in the back, and it's cool. Yeah. Just putting in work. Yeah, just like anytime there's studio time, man, just trying to work as much as I can. Learn as much as I can too.
Oh yeah. Well, since it's your first time on here, which I would like you to come back and be a reoccurring guest so we could sit there and talk about stuff for sure.
I'm about it.
But let's start from the beginning. So where are you from?
I was born and raised in Pasadena, Texas. It's where I grew up my entire life. My parents are from Mexico, but they moved over here, and currently live in Houston, like actual Houston. I moved out of my parents' place with my girl, and so far I'm just living in Houston, and that's pretty cool.
How was it growing up in Pasadena?
I feel like it was kind of normal, I moved schools quite a bit. I mean, I went from I went to like Pasadena schools all throughout like between like pre-K up until third grade, and then we moved a little closer to Deer Park actually, and that's where I spent Deepwater Junior. I went to Deepwater Elementary for like fourth grade, so I went to Pasadena schools for like pre-K until third grade.
Mm-hmm.
Into third grade, I moved closer to Deer Park, and then I moved schools to Deepwater Elementary, and then for fourth grade, and then fifth grade they made me move schools again to Carpenter, and I was like, at what point? They said I spoke too much English, and I was like, that makes no sense, but okay, because I guess Deepwater Elementary was more like a bilingual kind of school.
Yeah,
and so it was really interesting, but I never really had a problem like making friends. Like I was always like making friends over here, making friends over here, making friends over here, and then so Carpenter, from Carpenter Elementary, usually people go from Carpenter to like Bonnet Junior High.
Mm-hmm.
But my parents were like, "No, you're going back to Deepwater," and I was like, "Why?" And so I went back to Deepwater for junior high years, and I spent 6th, 7th, and 8th grade there, and then Deer Park. I went to Deer Park for all of high school, and so that was a lot of fun.
When did you start getting into music and onto engineering and DJing?
Oh man. So like it was 6th grade when I really got my whole family has always been really into music. Nobody really kind of like dove into the industry part of it until I guess my generation of family, like me and my cousins. Like I have a cousin who's in a mariachi band who records and stuff like that, and which is insane. I have a cousin in Mexico actually her name is Carla. Amazing singer. She's an incredible singer, and she kind of stepped back from the industry right now, but hopefully she gets back into it because she's super talented. And then my uncles love to sing. Like anytime there's like a family outing or anything, I grew up with that. Like there was always music, there was always something, and that's just the culture of like the Mexican culture. We all love to dance, we all love music, but it wasn't until my generation of my cousins and stuff like that when we really kind of dove deep into like the industry itself. It wasn't until like 6th grade when I started playing saxophone when I really was like, okay, I kind of like this music stuff, and I was good at it. It was like a natural thing for me. And then, I mean, my whole life I kind of wanted to go for like, well, not really my whole life. It was mostly like starting like sophomore year. I was like, okay, like let me be an aerospace engineer, mechanical engineer, and went to school for that. Didn't like it at all. I was like, what the hell is this? Like, it was just horrible. And then eventually, like, I had to like really ask myself, like, what do I like to do? Like, what is the thing for me? And it was music, but I didn't want to be a teacher. I was like, I suck at teaching. This is just something that I cannot do whatsoever.
No, I feel that because before engineering and everything, I almost went into being a classical bassist.
That's dope.
then I went to like a trial school where it was like a 2-week thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I just realized that if like I would have stayed in that, there is a possibility of just me getting in trouble just because I was not mixing with the people at all there. But getting into engineering, meeting guys like you, I was like, this is the spot that I'm supposed to be in. And I definitely feel the same way, like seeing you come in and talking to everybody and working hard. I'm like, this guy is definitely meant to be here and be a great engineer in my eyes.
Appreciate it. No, yeah. Same to you. I mean, you're so... It's always cool talking with different engineers, like, at all moments, you know? Because there's always some kind of knowledge that you don't know. It's a lot of fun to learn from each and every single different engineer, learning different ways to do it, or just talking to them just about engineering, or just about life in general, you know? I mean, I feel like most of the engineers that you come across are all super just kind of, like, welcoming, and just you kind of come from that same kind of vibe.
Yeah.
And it's just a really cool thing to kind of experience. And, I mean, I didn't expect that. I mean, again, like, I never really had a problem with, like, making friends anywhere. Like, anywhere I went, I was just kind of, like, talkative. Got in trouble with, well, yeah. I mean, just, I grew up and my teachers were always like, this kid talks too much. But I was like, I like people. Get away. Like, get over it.
For real. And I think engineering is such a thing where... There's no I mean, there are definitely things that you can do that is wrong and not the right way. But when you get down to it, there's really no wrong or right way. Mm-hmm. It's all like preference and stuff. So every time you meet a new engineer, it's just like you hear another preference and you may get like a nugget of something that you like from it and incorporate it to what you're doing. So I think talking with engineers and stuff will... like end up making you a better engineer in the long run.
For sure. Yeah, because like at the end of the day, like we want like just make quoting Lester Williams, our teacher from college. Well, the first thing that he asked us, he was like, what does an engineer do? Like, what does an audio engineer do? And we all had, like, he went through every single kid in class. He was like, oh, you make beats. Oh, you record stuff. And then at the end, like, he got through every single kid, and his response, he was like, okay, this is what we do. We make shit sound good. That's exactly what he said. And, like, well, that's the truth. I feel like no matter what way you kind of go about it, like, if at the end goal or your end product is, if it sounds good, it sounds good. That's what it's all about. And I feel like that's really, really cool. I mean, I used to be like a rules guy. Like, I'm always like, okay, this is how we do it. Like, there's steps to get there. Like, I'm a mathematical brain. Like, I love math. That's just something that I enjoy for some reason. But, like, it's a set of rules. But with engineering, I never really had that creative mindset of kind of getting away from rules. But with engineering, it was very, like, free-flowing to me. And anytime I do it, it's very free-flowing. Like, I have my templates of what I like to use and what kind of EQs I like to use for, like, each vocal. But if that's something's not working or compressor's not working for me, like, I know what else to use. Mm-hmm. And it's a free-flowing, and it's not a set amount of rules, but your end goal is always the same, which is just to make it sound good. And I feel like that's what was really cool about engineering to me. That I can be creative with it without being, like, strict with what I use.
Mm. See, this was a conversation that me and Missy from the Element podcast had on her podcast. She was asking me, like, what templates do I go to, and I was sitting there explaining to her, I was like, depends on what we're doing that day. You know, mm-hmm. Do I have a singer coming in? Do I have a rapper that likes to use auto-tune? Do I have a rapper that goes the more traditional route? You know, there's so many different ways to do it. And also, I mean, from my uncle, he always told me you want to try to make it sound as close to the live performance as possible with adding nuances. Like, of course, you're going to add, like, reverb, auto-tune, stuff like that, but you do want to capture the raw essence of what they're going for as well. So I think you got to change up, like, what you use depending on what you're doing that day.
Yeah, for sure. Like if it's, like, super, like, I like to use compressors for for like this, I guess this kind of like comparison, because different compressors and especially different EQs, like well, different whatever you use, it all sounds different. But compressors for me are the what really stands out. Aside from microphone and like the preamp, whatever you use, but aside from that, I feel like the next step is really the compressors. Like whenever I record or start mixing like hip hop vocals, which is what I usually deal with at Audible. It's just this is just the attention that brings into Audible. It's like it depends on what kind of like hip hop sound they're going for. Like if I'm going like from like a hard rap kind of like XXXTentacion kind of like really hard stuff. Yeah. Like I like to use like the distressors, like the distressor compressor for it, because like it has that grittiness, and it depends on how much I want to hit it. Like if I want to hit it super hard, then you get that grittiness from the distressor, and I love that sound. But I mean, sometimes I have some guy come in and record country music, I don't go for the distressor. I do not record or mix with a distressor just because it's like, nah, it's a gritty sound. You kind of want that clear sound. It all depends on what kind of music. You have to cater to the genre, you feel me? Like, once you cater to the genre and you understand, like, where you want to go with it, what different compressor, what different EQ, what different preamp, it all starts coming together in terms of genre. And I feel like that's a really cool thing. Like, again, it goes with the flow, and the flow will all work. You feel me? I don't know. If you understand what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, I understand exactly what you're trying to say. Let's get into this side topic since you brought up doing hip hop vocals and everything, because same way, that's what I mainly do. Do you feel that some people kind of, I don't want to say talk down or anything, but there's a weird thing about when you go, yeah, I mainly record like rappers and whatnot. You know, some people will be like, oh. You're like, man, I do some complicated stuff with vocals. Like, I get that I'm not mixing drums, guitar, and bass and stuff, but I've seen many of engineers get super creative with what they're just doing on vocals. But I feel like some people kind of write us off because all we do is technically vocals. Have you experienced that or dealt with that at all?
Mostly with myself. Like, mostly with myself. I haven't really came up to somebody, or nobody's really come up to me and be like, oh, all you do is record vocals. Like, that's easy. It's like, I mean, it can be. It definitely can be super easy, but the more you do it, the more creative you want to be with it. Like, sometimes, like, even for like a simple 2-track and main vocals, ad-libs, dubs, like the basic kind of like framework of it, sometimes they come through and like you want to be creative with it now that you know how to do the basics of it. And you can start doing parallel compression with it. You can start doubling vocals. Sometimes when they don't want to double vocals, but I hear it in my head, like, or like I have that idea in my head, is like, okay, like what if they doubled that right there? Then I literally, what I do sometimes is I double or I duplicate that main vocal or whatever they're doing, whether it be a verse or a hook, whatever. I mostly do it on the hook. Say I want a little bit more depth in it. I pan one left, I duplicate it, pan one to the right, and I add auto-tune to it, and it makes it sound like a double. But like I don't like slap the auto-tune all the way. Like I have it to where it sounds kind of like it's a double, but it's not really. It's just him duplicated.
Okay.
And so you start being creative with it. Like, even though it's all we do, and I want to get into like the drums and the guitars and bass, and I do want to get into that, and I constantly learning about it. Like I'm like the other day, somebody came through and they had a whole track out of live drums, live guitar, live bass, live piano, and his vocals on a hip hop track. I was like, this is so sick. Like, this is like putting everything into a live perspective, which is what you were saying. Like, though like it's like a 2-track and everything like that, but you want it to sound like it's a live performance. I feel like that's super cool to do, especially when they actually give you the live performance stuff. Though I don't have much practice in recording drums or tracking drums or mixing drums. Like, I still have that knowledge from when I went to school, from when I went to my internship. Even though I don't do it very often, I try to look up as much as I can so I can be prepared and ready for those moments. And it may not sound like I've been doing it for 20 years, but at least I know where to go from right then and there. I'm prepared for it as much as I can be, you know.
Do you feel like maybe working on vocals so much that when you do get an opportunity to go and do a full band or like the track out that you're talking about, that you could add a little bit more nuance to it versus like if you didn't do vocals all the time?
What do you mean by nuance?
Like doing more complicated vocal mixing than maybe other engineers would do in that situation, because they're worried about everything as a whole and maybe not focusing on each individual thing.
Since I don't have a lot of practice with like drums and stuff like that, I want to get that right. And so I will honestly pay more attention to the drums and everything, all the other live instruments, just because I'm like, though I don't have much practice with it, I know where to go. I know the starting points, and I know how to get to where it sounds good. But I want to get it right because I don't have a lot of practice with it. You feel me? I don't know. Like, it's kind of like I will focus on what I need to practice on more because I already know how to do this. So I'll focus more. When that opportunity comes, I will definitely probably focus more on the drums. And then do what I know how to do on the vocals, because it's just second nature to me at that point.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into you starting at Audible. So how did that come about?
It was really interesting. So like, I mean, I was recording from home, you know, and I was working at Walmart. I mean, you and I met at Walmart. We're working together, and yeah, so I worked for Walmart 3 different times. I worked, it was my senior year of high school. I was in band, and all of my responsibilities in band were done. Like, I didn't get a job because in high school, almost, even when I didn't get a job until I was 18. I didn't get a job at 16 or 17 because I was like, I'm in band. Like, I want to make that priority. I was like, I just want to focus on that. And I started working at Walmart like the last month of high school. And I lasted there for 2 years, and then I moved away to go to school at UT Arlington. And that summer after that first year at UT Arlington, I went to work there again because I was like, okay, like I need a summer job. I'm back home. And yeah, I went to school. I came back over here. I came back to go to school here at at San Jac, because school just got expensive at the university. It's just what it is. And yeah, that third time I went back to Walmart is when I met you, and I was there for a little bit. I forgot how long I was there for. I think I was there for like between like April to, I forgot how long. I was there for a minute though.
Yeah, you were there for almost a year.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, I was there for a minute, and just one day, I mean, I started doing my recording stuff at home. I was like, okay, like I can do this. I know I can do this. I recorded this guy named John Doe, or John the rapper. I think that's what he goes by. But he's a cool guy. My first ever client, super cool dude. I met him because of my fraternity brother. Actually, his name is Angel Ortiz. He pretty much put me on. He was like, hey, like I know you're trying to find work. I have a friend named John who likes to rap. Is like he wants to know if like you want to record, and so. Props to my homeboy Angel, like he was the first person to bring me a client, and I was like, this is awesome. It was August 1st of last year actually, 2020, and I started doing that for a couple months, and yeah, I did that for a couple months, and I was like, it was one day at Walmart. I would drive to Walmart, and I would have no problem with it. I'd be like, oh crap, I'm going to work, it's whatever. And then one day I go there, like I'm driving there, I'm like, the fuck am I doing, man?
Right.
Yeah, I didn't want to be there. Yeah, I just I knew I could, if I focused 100% on engineering, I knew I could make it, you know. I knew I would be able to just make a career out of it. And then I got my first client, and I was with him. We recorded a whole little kind of project with him, actually. It was really, really cool. It was like a super H-Town kind of feel. You know, it was a lot of fun working with him. And so like a week passed. So like a week before I put in my 2 weeks, before that day, what happened? Random, the owner of Audible Studios, texted me through Instagram, and he was like, "Hey, like I got a staff engineer position open here at Audible. I was wondering if you wanted to do it." And I was like, "Yeah, sure." He's like, "Okay, just send me your best mix." And so I sent him a mix. I was working with a guy named Christian Moore at the time. Super talented guy. Super talented guy. And so I sent him that mix, and I didn't hear about him at all for like a whole week. And yeah, so I didn't hear about him, and I texted him like a 1 week after that, like when he texted me, I texted him after that. I was like, "Yo, like what's the status of my like application, I guess?" And he did not reply. I texted that on a Friday, and it was Saturday and Sunday, and he kept posting stuff on his Instagram story, and I was like, "This man's ignoring me, man." And whenever I thrive on, I really do thrive on whenever people don't believe in me, because I'm just kind of like, "You don't believe in me? All right, I'm gonna do this shit on my own." And so I put in my 2 weeks. That same day, I was driving to Walmart, and I was like, I don't want to freaking be here at all. And yeah, I had a whole rant in the break room. I feel like shit actually, because I was talking to like all the OG crew there, and I was like, I went off, and I was like, "Yo, like what the fuck am I doing here? Like I know what I can do. I know my talent and what I'm like capable of." And I felt really shitty because I felt like I was talking down on people that were working there. And so, like, I switched it up. I was like, well, what if people want to work here, you know? Like, what if people want to make a career out of Walmart? That's up to them. Like, whatever you want to do, be happy with it. Like, and if they're happy there, like, that's dope. Like, if you're happy working at Walmart, kudos to you. That's what's up. So, like, I backtracked, and I was like, just because I say I'm not happy here doesn't mean it's a shitty place to be at if you want to be here.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I kind of backtracked on that. But at the same time, I was like, but this is not where I want to be. And so I went into the HR office, and I was like, put in my 2 weeks. And 2 hours later, Random, the owner of Audible Studios, texted me, was like, "Come in for an interview tomorrow." And I was like, interesting. Oh, okay. Like that, somehow that kind of just fell on my lap, and I was like, okay, cool. And I went in the next day. It was a Tuesday. And we had the interview. He was like, "I like the vibes. You have a long way to go for sure. But I feel like you could be a really good fit here." And so I was like, "Okay, cool. Like, when can I start?" Like, I was thinking maybe like 2 weeks, like 2 weeks away or something, or maybe like the next couple of days or something. I don't know. And he was like, "We can get you a session today." And I was freaking the fuck out. I was like, "Wait, no." I was like, "Wait, give me a second." And so he pretty much gave me the job on the spot, and I was like, "Fuck yeah, like let's do it." And I texted Tracy, our manager at the time. I'm not even sure she still works there or not. Yeah. And excuse me. And yeah, I was like, "I'm not coming in for the rest of my 2 weeks. I'm sorry. Like this is it. Like that was the final chapter of Walmart. Like I was done." I was like, "That's the last time I'm ever going to Walmart, ever back again." And yeah, that's how the career started.
Nice.
That's how the career started.
So how's it been going since then?
It's amazing. Currently, making a living out of it. I DJ on the side as well. That's why I go by DJ Skew. But so yeah, like it's going great. You know, I have my regulars that come in, and shout out to Jay Simon, shout out to Q Man who fucks with everybody at the studio. And man, it's been amazing. Like sometimes I'm just kind of like, I have to go to the studio, but when I'm there, it's a whole different world. Like, it's just a whole different, like, mindset of me just being there, and, like, I kind of walk out, and I'm just kind of like, yeah, I killed that shit. I was like, yeah, I killed that shit, and it's always a great experience to be creative with other creatives, and it's a blessing, man, 100%, to be doing this shit, and it's a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome, man. So, do you have any crazy studio stories for us?
Damn, crazy studio stories. Let's see. Not off the top of my head. Not at the top of my head. I've had. Well, I mean, I guess one would be. I mean, I just started working there, right? And the guy came in. He goes by the name of Young Captain, and he's super talented artist. Haven't seen him in a minute, but he said he was gonna kind of retire. Wish he didn't though, because he's a super talented guy. But he actually brought in a peso feature.
Oh.
And I was like, it's only my third day out here, bro. Like, and I was like, okay, cool. Like, let's do it. And yeah, I got to work on the peso feature like my first, I think, 2 weeks of working there. And I was like, oh shit, I got creds already. I guess like it was super cool. It was really really fun to work on that.
What was it already mixed or was it raw?
Raw, straight up raw. I had to mix his vocals.
How nerve-wracking is that?
It was crazy, you know, because I'm just kind of like, I mean, I knew who he was. I knew about him, you know, about peso, but I wasn't like starstruck, you know. But at the same time, I was kind of like, okay, this guy's already in the industry. Like, he has listens upon listens on Spotify, Apple Music, everywhere. He has a fan base type shit, and I was like, I just started here, and you're like trusting me with these vocals. It was nerve wracking just for the fact that I was kind of like, I felt like I was so new about it. I felt like I was just completely new to like the industry, going into an actual job with it instead of just working things from my house. But I killed it. I mean, I thought it sounded pretty dope, so I was like, okay, this is super sick.
I feel that it was so nerve wracking when I had a session that had a little Kiki feature. I was just like, oh my god, I cannot mess this up. Like, you have to kill it at that point. And,
yeah, no, it's like, I read this book by Al Schmidt, the great Al Schmidt. Rest in peace. He just passed away, I think.
Oh man.
Sometime last year. One of my idols. I think one of his Duke Ellington. One of his first ever sessions by himself was with Duke Ellington, and he was like, I mean, it's the great fucking Duke Ellington, you know? Like, he was there, I'm pretty sure it was Duke Ellington. It might be another trumpet player. But he was kind of like, oh my god, like, what the hell? Like, the manager just put me on the session, and I didn't know who it was. He was put down as another name, and then he walks in the fucking room, and Al Schmidt is like, I can't do this shit. What the fuck am I supposed to do? But Duke was right there with him, and he was like, you got this. Just do your thing. You can do it. I believe in you. And thinking about it now, I feel like that was my Duke Ellington moment. I mean, not as big, but still a huge like up from where I think I started from to what kind of sessions I'm taking care of, kind of thing. I thought that was pretty crazy. I mean, and I strive off of pressure. People come with me and they're just kind of like putting me on some different kind of pressure that I don't think I'm capable of, but those are the moments you grow. You feel me? Like, those are the moments where you're just kind of like, you're struggling right then and there, but at the end of the day, you got through that Like, you got through that shit. And that just makes you a stronger human being, stronger engineer, stronger person. And so, grateful for those moments, man. Any type of challenge that comes through my way, I freak out in those moments, but I keep my cool, do what I gotta do, step at a time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely those moments where, like, in the moment, it's almost like the worst feeling ever, but once you get through it, you're just like, you definitely feel the growth right then and there. Or even, like, having a bad session or two, even if it's not your fault, like, just feeling all that, I feel like really excels you. And I think a lot of people get really scared of, like, failure and tough times, but I think that's what, honestly, you need the most sometimes. Like, if you just skate through with like no bumps or anything, I feel like it kind of hinders your growth a little bit. Like, you need those times where you're just really self-critical and everything and analyzing everything you did, and then the next time you go in, you're like, I feel like you're super lasered in and dialed in.
Yeah, and like if somebody comes in with something that I've never seen before or anything like that, and like, excuse me, like it was just last week whenever that guy came through with those live drum tracks, and I downloaded that whole session and I took it home and I am practicing on it Like,
Nice.
just understanding that, like, that might have not been my best work, but now I have that to practice on. It's like, I see my flaws and I understand my flaws, but I don't dwell on it. Like, I understand, like, I might have not done the best job at that I could have, you know, but I want to keep working on it. And I want to keep learning, and I want to keep moving forward and not dwell on, damn, that was a shitty ass session, or damn, that sounded horrible. How am I going to get better from there?
That and working on it, you know, later on you could get to a mix where you're just like, this is the mix that I wanted for it. Mm-hmm. You can bounce it and send it to the artist, and I bet the artist will be amazed where he's just like, oh, he's still been working on this? Like, and then hear it and just be like, all right, yeah, this is the new version. You know, I bounce things so many times where I just tell an artist, like, hey, man, had a good night at home, got into a good vibe, and I opened your session back up, and I made some changes. What do you think about it? And they're just like, this is the new version.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, bet. Cool.
Yeah, I do that every once in a while. I don't like doing it too much, just for the fact that people start being like, people can get too comfortable with it.
Yeah.
People can get too comfortable with it. But whenever I'm like feeling good, I'm just kind of like, nah, these people were super cool, or the client is like themselves, or like the whole group, whoever they come with, are like super cool. And I know they won't really take advantage of that. It's like, okay, like, let me open another session up. This guy was super cool. I know I could have done a better job on this. I know it. And so you start just messing with it, and then, yeah. I mean, and that's where you start figuring out different ways to do things, and different ways to, just being creative with it on your own time. And next time somebody else comes through, it's like, oh, I've seen that before. You just incorporate that same knowledge and run with it, you know. That's just another tool under your belt.
Yeah, there's definitely boundary lines with different artists. You know, you have artists that it's all business, and then you have artists that it's like you grow a friendship out of,
Mm-hmm.
and or even if you have a friendship before it, where you can do a little bit more, and like, but definitely you have to. I think there's a lot of responsibility as an engineer to like keep things under wrap and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like keeping things to you and the artist's ears really only.
Mm-hmm.
And unless they give you permission, of course.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think some people get finicky about that too.
Mm-hmm.
If you're like reopening sessions, there's like, you did not send this to anybody, did you? And you're like,
oh,
no.
People get crazy about that.
Yeah, it's just me and you, bro. I'm not leaking it, I promise.
No, because sometimes whenever there's, and I don't know if I should be doing this or not, but sometimes I'll be doing a mix and like I finish it, I'm like, I love this song. Like, this song is super dope to me, but it hasn't released yet. I airdrop it to myself and I listen to it on my own.
Yeah.
Because like some of the music that comes out, or some of the music that we work on, is like, damn, I love working on this shit. Like, it's just like you do one thing different, another thing different, and just kind of like, this thing is its own entity. This thing is its own thing that like I love listening to. It's just another song on Spotify or anything else. They're just kind of like, I love this song. And I love working on music like that. It's just, it really brings home why I'm so passionate about it and why I love doing what I do. And when those, actually, a lot of artists like it when you do that, because a lot of the times when I put like songs on my phone, and again, some people may or may not agree with it, but I do it anyways. I put it on my phone, I listen to it on daily, and then I show other people, but I don't send it to them or anything like that. I just like, hey, like, I did this song, like, let me know what you think about it. And most of the time, like 99% of the time, you come back to the studio, that client comes back, and you tell them, it's like, yeah, I had this song on my phone, like, I love that song. I've been showing people, and they're cool with it. Those artists fuck with that.
Oh, yeah.
Artists love that.
Dude,
because they're just kind of like, hey, yo, like, this person's sharing my music with other people. Like, that's super dope to them. And I love sharing good music. I don't know, that's something that I love to do.
Hell yeah. And also when artists hang on to a song for so long, it just gets even more where you're like the first guy that I did sessions with, shout out Mikey Bangs. Mm-hmm. Although, release that shit, goddamn it. My second session still hasn't been released.
Oh no.
2 years. Dang. 2 years. It still hasn't been released. The first one was finally probably about couple months ago, maybe a year ago now. I remember he hit me up randomly and he was like, I released that first song we did, and I was like, no way. Went to YouTube immediately. I was like, yes, it's finally there for the world to hear it, because it was so good. And I mean, also, like, I had the advantage of having like Will behind my shoulder for those sessions.
That's cool.
But it was, I love the music that he makes, so it just irritates me that he hasn't been dropping stuff.
I felt that way.
But yeah, definitely. And, you know, you do need, I think as an engineer, it's like, put it on your phone because you got to run the car test, headphone test, like hear how it sounds on different speakers.
No, I love doing that. I actually do that sometimes when I finish with a mix kind of soon, like in the session. Maybe I had like 30 minutes left in the session. I'm just kind of like, I think I'm done with it.
Yeah.
I think I'm done with it. I literally, in mid-session, I've been doing this because like at Audible, we work kind of quickly. I don't know. It's something that they taught me from like right off the bat. It's just kind of like work fast. Because sometimes people come in, they want songs done in 30 minutes and an hour, and I don't approve of that. Sometimes I feel like there's a lot. Sometimes when they give me like a song in like 2 hours, okay, like I can do this. Like that's super easy. I've just learned how to work quick, and sometimes I have time left over, and I'm just kind of like, okay, well, let me listen to my AirPods. Just because the AirPods are what I listen to almost like basically every single day. I listen to music on my AirPods. So if something's wrong or missing or anything feels off,
you'll hear it.
I know it. And so while I'm listening, I'm making adjustments on Pro Tools, and then I bounce it out again, make those adjustments, and listen again. It's like, okay, now it's cool. Like if I have that time, hell yeah, I'm making those adjustments. Cause having those reference monitors that you listen to every single day, like super up, like it just makes the mix so much better, and they don't have to come back or anything like that just to make some adjustments or anything like that.
Yeah, one thing I'll definitely do is if I finish the session early, I'll bounce it to my phone. I'll listen to it on headphones, and I'll tell the artist, I'm like, I'm gonna send it to you real quick, download it, listen to it on your headphones, and go out to your car and listen to it real quick and tell me what you think. And I'll still leave the session pulled up just in case. Yeah,
it comes back with whatever he hears and stuff. That's dope.
Yeah, and back to something that you just said, this opens up kind of an interesting conversation that we'll have this, and then we can wrap it up real quick. Working fast, I've noticed that Audible, The Lab, I think there's a couple others as well that I'm just not fully aware with. But
there's Baron out there, Neptune.
Yeah, and I think this new generation of studios is starting that trend of we need to work fast and do this. Because, like, you know, coming up, watching documentaries, going to school, like you see the old style of studios where it's like people are booking days, you know, months even.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there doing all this experimental stuff and, like, really taking your time to craft the sound, versus nowadays in the industry that we're in on the engineering, I feel like it's so like we're getting 2 hours, we need a song done by then or 2 songs done by then. So you're sitting there like literally mixing while recording and everything. But I think it's cool because you know, growing up being brought into engineering early on, I kind of saw like where older engineers were saying that studios were dying. And you know, the Sound City documentary. And it was such a heartbreaking thing for me, because that was always like for a lot of engineers, you know, working in a studio is like, it's a magical thing, you know. And but then getting into the industry and seeing how some people are bucking that and being like, no, studios aren't dying. People still want a professional place to go to. We just need to make little adjustments. You know, we don't need to spend $1 million on a board.
Yeah.
You know?
Because a lot of people do everything in the box. I mean, there was, when I was recording, when I was doing it in my internship at Wire Road Studios, they have gear on gear, you know? Like, they have the Manly, like, the Very Mew there. They have the Shadow Hills freaking compressor there. Like a $10,000 pieces of gear there. And I was watching James Kelly, who owns Wire Road. mix something. It was either mixing or mastering. I forgot. Either way, he's incredible at it. He's insane. But he pulls up the plugin, the Shadow Hills compressor plugin on the computer, and I was like, you have the real thing like right behind you. It's like, why not use the $10,000 piece of gear over the plugin that you have in the box? And he's like, because it sounds the fucking same. I was like, that's incredible. Like that. I mean, the technology nowadays is so incredible. A lot of UAD stuff, of course, is insane. Like they sound almost 99.9% just like the outboard gear. And so people are starting to understand that anything that I can do, like with all of the studio gear, I can just do it in the box, which is insane to me. But no, it's going back to your point of just kind of like working quickly and stuff like that. I mean, I feel like there's levels to it, but it also depends on how you want to do it, you know, because I can make anything sound good in the box, fast, you know, but whenever, how do I explain this? It's like some studios like just fixate on recording. You go in there and you record. But the mixing is a completely different thing. Like they charge like $300, $400, $500 per song on some mixes. And I mean that's just what the industry actually is apparently. Going like there's some engineers there at Y Road that I know, like Corey Washington, who just won a Grammy.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
Definitely when you get to the higher levels of music, I mean you know, I know a mastering engineer named Harold, and I know that, like, you definitely got to pay for his time. And, okay, well, the camera died again. We're going to finish this audio-wise.
Gotcha.
I'll just add a picture in.
Okay, cool.
You know, definitely when you get to the higher levels and people that are really making money off music, you're going to get paid more. People are going to spend more and spend more time. But at the entry level, I do like how studios are doing it to make it...
You're catering to, like, the new generation of, like, hip-hop artists who just kind of, like, don't have that budget.
Yeah.
You know? And, like, right now, like, whenever people send me stuff, like, when people send me stuff to mix or master or whatever, I don't really do it by the hour. I do it by song, how they do it. But
for remote mixes?
Yeah, for remote mixes and stuff like that.
Same.
I take my sweet-ass time with it. I want to make sure that everything that I put into it is what needs to be put in there. Like, if this EQ isn't working, I'll switch it to another EQ. If this compressor's not working, I'll put it to a different compressor. Like, I try out different things, because... even though it's a moment where it's like it's still my time, I still like to experiment with stuff. Because it is my time and nobody's really like waiting on me to do anything. That is the point where like I try things out, but I still keep it to where like I know this is gonna sound good and the client's gonna be happy. I'm not gonna send him some like crazy, completely immaculate, like weird things. Like, oh look what I learned. It's like, no, it's like, this is what you asked for. This is what I'm going to give you. And at the same time, I tried shit out. But, no, yeah, I take my time with mixes that are sent to me.
See, I haven't done any remote mixes, but I've done remote mastering where somebody sent me stuff to master.
Yeah, same.
And definitely taking the time with that, especially with mastering. Everything's so, like, minor, but you gotta like make sure, and ear training for it as well. It's just a pain.
Oh yeah, because it's those little small things. Again, going back to James Kelly, like I was seeing him master a track for a little bit, and it's like he would turn knobs, turn it back, turn knobs, turn it back, and he was hearing something. But whenever you're the person mastering, you know what you're hearing.
Yep.
Me, I was trying to decipher what he was looking for. And it was super tiny things, you know, that you don't notice. But I mean, his ear has become so accustomed to like just listening, and his ear is so well trained to the point where like he knows what to fix.
Yeah.
Like somebody sends him a really good mix, and he's like, sometimes people send things back flat.
Yep.
Like again, going back to the Al Schmidt book, he knew he had a mastering engineer that he worked for pretty much his entire life. There was just one mastering engineer that he worked with like all the time, and sometimes he would send it back. I don't got to do anything on it. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Which is insane to me.
See, that's the thing that the mastering engineer that I've talked to, Harold LaRue, he told me the truth, like one of the hardest things about mastering is knowing when to not do anything.
Yeah.
He goes, he also told me, he was like, train your ears for less than a 2 dB change. And because his big thing is you don't want to squash the mixing engineer's art. Like, you don't want to step on that person's art.
Truth.
And I think a lot of people don't realize, like, the whole process of that. Even as, like, I wouldn't consider myself a mastering engineer at all. So much to go and much to do. But as a mixing engineer or a staff engineer, I will say, like, I even have that thought process when somebody brings me in a beat. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't want to do anything to the beat because I know a lot of producers mix and master their own beats, especially if it's somebody that I know, and like I don't want to step on their art. So it's like I don't even like throwing compressors on instrumentals or anything. Like, if it's not clipping, it's fine. And even if it's clipping, usually all I gotta do is go to the master fader and bring it down a little bit, and that takes care of the clipping.
Yeah, a lot of the low end stuff that I kind of have a problem with that sometimes. Well, people bring in a beat and like that bass is just kind of completely kicking the heck out of the, just oh man, it's just sometimes it's so nasty. I do EQ the beat when they give me a 2-track. When they bring a 2-track a 2-track beat, I EQ things to what I think will sound the best. But if it sounds fine, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. When I talk to my producer friends, I'm like, the word of the day is headroom.
For real though.
Leave me some headroom, guys.
Yeah. It's like you're distorting. Like, I remember I tweeted this, and I was like, producers, please stop distorting your 808s and your kicks. And people got mad at me. They're like, why won't you distort your kick? Why won't you distort your 808s? And I was like, whenever you like purposely like, it's not even a plugin or nothing that they're putting on it. It's literally just because it's too freaking hot. Just kind of like turn it down. Like, stop thinking that peaking is a good thing. It's not.
Well, it's like what you brought up earlier. It's like, okay, if you want that sound, don't clip. Get a distressor plugin.
Yeah.
Get a distressor plugin if you want that grittiness.
Yeah, if you want that grittiness, find a way, but don't just turn up the volume.
Yeah.
It makes no sense to me.
I think some people will go for like the easiest thing and just like, I'm going to turn the volume up.
Yeah.
It's like, hold on. What do you want done?
Yeah. It's like, what sound are you looking for?
And so yeah, definitely if you want that sound, find a plugin that does it.
Yeah.
That doesn't make it clip. And you'll probably get better distortion depending on which plugins you use. Find the plugin that sounds the best for you. Yep. All right. Well, one last thing before we go.
All right. What you got?
Okay. What do you have to say to any new engineers coming into the game? What they should do, and just advice in general.
So whenever I first started, it was really, really difficult to find something to practice on. It's like, man, I want to practice making this sound better, or I just want to practice the craft in general. And it was really difficult to do that. My advice is just keep working on whatever comes to you. Like, if something comes to you, it's like, because sometimes I work on mixes that I've done like a year ago. It's like, okay, like, well, let's listen back at whatever I got, I want to listen back at this mix I did a year ago, and see how I can make that sound better, and see what I've learned, how far I've come. So whenever you do get that first session, or you do get just something to practice on, keep practicing on it, keep learning, keep going on it. Just keep going, just because it's easy to stop. It's easy to just kind of like, okay, I'll just go get a job or whatever. But if you want to make this a career, you gotta have to just keep pushing. And I mean, there was a point where I was kind of like, I'm just gonna work for Amazon. I'm just gonna. It's really difficult to keep going on this, because it's the freelance engineer kind of thing is interesting. Because I mean, sometimes there's no work, sometimes there's a lot of work, and you just have to find that balance and just don't give up. Keep practicing. Take every session that comes to you and practice on it every single day.
Be ready to get no sleep.
Yeah.
Some nights, you know? Yeah, luckily, one thing that you just brought up, I don't think it was that big when, you know, a couple years back when me and you were, like, first coming into this. But I've been seeing it more and more now. There's these, like, subscription things that you can subscribe to, and you, like, pay, like, $10 a month or something. Mm-hmm. But they send you, like, stems of songs, like of popular songs, like the stems.
Yeah.
And they have you like mix it and send it in, and then at the end of the week they'll do a video breaking down how it's actually mixed, mm-hmm. and see like how close you get to like the actual mix, or mm-hmm. what you did different. And I think they also do a thing where they choose the best mix and you like get something. But I remember like seeing a commercial for that. I was like, that's cool.
Like, dude, that's dope. Yeah, like I actually never even knew about that. Actually, yeah, I didn't know about that. I mean, I pay. I think Slate does it. I pay $15 a month for the Slate plugins.
Ooh, nice.
And I mean, they're really good plugins, and but I think they do something like that. I just never took advantage of it. I didn't take advantage of it until I started, or I didn't take advantage of it at all. You know, I got the plugins and I just kept fucking with the plugins. But I know there's like university like Slate U or whatever, I forgot what it was called, but I mean they have programs like that where they teach you things and stuff like that. I mean YouTube has a bunch of videos, but I know YouTube is like a back and forth. Some people teach back things that are not good. But some of them are really good too. But yeah, I mean there's resources out there for you to start, you know, to practice and yeah, you just gotta take advantage of those. And I didn't know about that, but that's a great way to start. If you want to start, get those in, and yeah, put in that work from then on.
Oh yeah, well, it's been great sitting down and talking with you.
This was fun.
I'm definitely gonna get all your socials and Audible Studios link to put in the description. So sure. If any artists are listening to this and they want to go record with this man right here, he's a great engineer. He will make you very good songs.
I'll make you sound like Beyonce, okay?
But is there any shout-outs you want to give real quick?
Shout out to all my homies at Audible Studios. Shout out to Julian, who just recorded his song there. He's a big YouTuber. It's because he loves Lizzo. But shout out to the whole Audible Studios team. You know, Danny, Andres, Random, Lowe's, Speedy G. Been in the game for 10 plus years. Shout out to some of my favorite artists that come through. Jay Simon. So Jay Simon and Frank Galactic just put out a 3-song little EP that I worked on. We finished it on the 4th of July. I went on my day off basically so I can finish this project on the 4th of July, and it just released I think 2 weeks ago or something like that. But I love that. I love that project. And so yeah, go check it out. It's called Outside Influences, Jay Simon and Frank Galactic. Shout out to my mom for believing in me every step of the way. Shout out to my boy for having me on the podcast. It was fun, and I appreciate it a lot.
Oh yeah, man. And hopefully we could get more people from Audible in here to talk about, you know, more engineering and stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
Yeah.
It was good talking to you, man. Thanks for coming in.
Snaps.
All right. Later, y'all.